My name is Dr. Samantha Russak, and I am the Chief of Research and Welfare here at Tanganyika. And what that means is a few different things. So I oversee any research requests that come to the park. So that can be participating in other research efforts. For example, we participate in a project right now that's looking at rhino genetics. So we have submitted some blood samples to them, which is really cool. That would also include any research projects that we do here at the park. So for example, we had some students from Colorado State University here, master's students working on their research over the summer, and we had someone just do a research with our Lemur Island group and aggression related to guest size. She didn't find any correlation, which was great to hear. So anything like that would fall under my purview. The welfare side of things, we have a welfare program that we're trying to get going here to make sure that we're ensuring the top-notch care of our animals and the best welfare possible. And then I also oversee, it's not in my title, but I oversee our animal experience specialist team, which is the team that does the most of the interactions here and our interactive experiences at the park. And so that includes all of the training of our animals as well. So what exactly is animal welfare? Animal welfare is really important in the zoo field, or really in any field where animals are involved. A lot of people think animal welfare is the way we are taking care of our animals. That's part of it, but really welfare is how animals are experiencing their life in human care. So we are going to look for signs and cues from them to let us know that they're experiencing their best lives. All right, so there's a lot of different components that go into animal welfare. We go off of the 5-domain model here at Tanganyika. So 5 main domains or components that go into welfare that we keep track of. So the first is going to be nutrition. So that includes their diet, but also things like water intake, any vitamins, supplements that we need to add to make sure they're nutritionally healthy and getting an appropriate diet. We also can talk about their behavior. So we want to make sure that they're exhibiting behaviors that we would see in the wild, so species typical behavior. We can also talk about their environmental welfare and components. So we want to make sure that the space, the habitat, toys, enrichment that we're giving them all go towards appropriate behavior that we want to see. We can talk about their health. So obviously we want to watch for any signs of illnesses or injuries and be able to respond to those with veterinary treatment if necessary, and monitor their growth and development. And then all 4 of those kind of go together for the 5th domain, which is mental health. Now this is the hardest one to make sure we're doing correctly and monitoring, just because as people we have to use a subjective measurement to assess how the animals are feeling or how they're experiencing their lives. But we can look for those behavioral cues, those other inputs into the system to make sure that the output we're getting is what we want. So one thing that comes up a lot with animals that are in human care is whether we know whether they're sad or happy. And that's really hard to answer. In general, that's called anthropomorphizing, which just means that we're putting human emotions on animals who might not have the same emotions. They might have some similar feelings, but they'll express them differently. So we try to avoid using words like happy or sad, and stick to kind of more objective things that we can observe in our animals. So for example, the cheetah behind me is alert, looking around at her surroundings, but is relaxed. So we don't see ears that are pinned back. Her eyes aren't narrowed. They're nice and bright and alert. Her body posture is suggesting that she's relaxed. She's not tense. She's not ready to spring. So those are things that we can look for to make sure that the animal is comfortable, is getting all of its needs met. But again, we try to avoid that happy or sad, especially because things that for people mean happy might mean something else. For example, a really common example we use to try and explain this is in chimpanzees. When they smile, so a nice big great smile in humans means we're happy, we're enjoying life. When they smile and show their teeth, that could actually be a stress response, so that they're scared, they're showing a fear grimace, or they're even trying to just be submissive to a dominant individual. So we want to avoid trying to make assumptions that we know based on human behavior onto our animals. As I mentioned, good welfare doesn't necessarily mean a big group of animals. It doesn't necessarily mean a big habitat. It's very dependent on the species and what those species needs are. So, for example, oftentimes people who are seeing tigers in human care get concerned that they are alone. Well, tigers in the wild are very solitary. And so actually having a pair of tigers in a facility is very rare because you wouldn't see that in the wild. And so we're really trying to mimic natural conditions for the animals that we have. And so that's what you would expect to see. Another example here at Tanganyika, we have a very cute owl monkey named Dexter. He's one of our ambassador animals. And primates in general tend to be social species. So you generally don't see them on their own. They'll be in groups. Owl monkeys are a little bit more solitary, but also in Dexter's case, we don't have a good mate for him that's already in human care. There's no other facility that has an owl monkey that's also alone that we can pair up. So we basically make up for that by making sure he gets lots of attention from the keepers, he gets lots of extra enrichment, and then even doing the experiences that we offer where guests get to meet him enriches his life and adds to his good welfare. So Tanganyika is definitely known for our interactive, up-close personal experiences, our meet and greets, our behind-the-scenes tours, all of the fun things that you can do to get closer to the animals. And there's been some controversy over the years in the zoo field, especially as to whether these types of experiences are good for the animals, are they bad for the animals, somewhere in between. And it tends to be not a black and white answer. Again, it's going to be very dependent upon the animal themselves, the species, the personality of the individual, and then also what do those interactive experiences look like. So here at Tanganyika, we take all of that into account when we're forming and developing these experiences. We go through trial runs with staff on site with each of the animals. We build them up to those experiences. We don't just throw them in a room with guests before we know that they would be comfortable and enjoy the experience. So a lot of planning and practice goes into those experiences. And again, we're constantly monitoring the animals' behavior and the signs that they're showing us. So the keepers know the animals the best, so they are very attuned to small changes in their behavior that might indicate, Dexter's not feeling like seeing guests today, so we're not going to do a meet and greet with him. We're very big on choice here at Tanganyika, so our animals always have the choice to participate in these programs. If they're showing us signs that they don't want to participate, we let the guests know that and we will find an alternative. But we never force our animals to do any of the experiences. And you can actually tell that some of the animals, I think, look forward to the experiences. They enjoy them. Again, based on the signs that we're seeing, they eagerly go into their crates, knowing that that means that they're going to be going to our meet and greet room. Will eagerly come out of their enclosures and get harnessed or leashed if that's how we present them to go and visit with guests. So we monitor all those things very closely. And like I said, a lot of these experiences seem to even improve their welfare or be just as enriching for them as it is for our guests.